If I say Myers-Briggs personality typing, some of you may know what I mean. Others might not. For those who are unaware, Myers-Briggs Type Indicator, or MBTI for short, is a way of categorizing people into certain personality types. There are 16 in total, each with a combination of 4 letters. I myself am an INFJ, which in broad terms means that I like to internalize my thought process, I make decisions mainly using my feelings and values, and I tend to be idealistic. Of course, not all types fit into a one-size-fits-all description. There's bound to be variation, as no two people are exactly alike. Anyway, I like thinking about MBTI in relation to characters from like games I play or anime I watch, so I thought it would be fun to predict the MBTIs of the upcoming Genshin characters from Snezhnaya. I'm going to be discussing all the characters shown in the trailer, which includes already playable characters, like some of the Fatui Harbingers. For those, I'll just sort them without much discussion using the website Personality Database to inform my choice. The predictions for the other characters are going to be based on my own opinions and interpretations of the characters. Since we know very little about most of them at the moment, these predictions are essentially based on vibes, so don't take this video too seriously. If you have a different interpretation of a character that you'd like to share, feel free to let me know, but please be respectful. I don't need my comment section turning into a personality database character profile. We can all get different vibes from a character, and that's okay. So, let's dive into it. Okay, so I'm here on Tier List Maker, or Tier Maker. I made all 16 personalities. This is a very tall one, as you can tell. I zoomed in a little bit. Unfortunately, the character pictures are a little bit small, but I think you can tell who is who, even if they are a little small. I did my best, so we're just gonna go ahead and jump right into it. Okay, so first character we have is Alyosha, and I know Alyosha and Odette have already had their drip marketing, like character reveals by this point, but I just decided to go with all the images that they used for that trailer for the Snezhnayan characters, so that's why they have these images and not like their drip marketing images. So Alyosha, he's kind of giving me, I'm gonna be honest, he kind of gives me ISTP vibes. No reason in particular. ISTP, I could potentially see him being ISFP, but I'm just gonna go ahead and say ISTP vibes. And then next we have Arlecchino. This is one of the Fatui Harbingers that's already playable, so we've already gotten a good look at her personality and how she behaves. So a lot of people have voted her or like think of her as an INTJ. I personally agree with that. I do think she's an INTJ. And honestly, part of the reason I chose to have some of the Harbingers in this video is because I just kind of wanted to fill out the tiers a little bit more. I don't think they even showed 16 characters in the trailer, so we're not probably going to fill out each and every one, and some of them might have multiple characters, but you know, I just wanted to fill it out just a little bit more. Also, my interpretations of these characters is going to be based not necessarily on how the 16 Personalities website defines the Myers-Briggs personality typing. I'm basing it more off of cognitive functions, like what I think their cognitive functions will be. If you don't know what that is, that's okay. I don't really feel like explaining it in this video, though. You're free to go look that up at your own on your own time. Danica, she's giving me a few different vibes, if I'm being honest. I think I'm going to predict she's ISTJ, though. She's just kind of giving me ISTJ vibes. Someone who's maybe a little bit more reserved. I know I said I wasn't going to be basing this off just like the letter typing, but ISTJs do tend to be more reserved. But she seems like someone who's going to be kind of an efficient, logical thinker type person, maybe a bit more on the organized side of things. So ISTJ is my guess for her. Mitya. We have an Alyosha and we have a Mitya. Do you think we're getting an Ivan? If you know, you know. Okay, Mitya. He's giving me INTP vibes, I think. I don't know exactly. He was like reading in the trailer from what I saw, so you know that obviously means he's a thinker. No, I think for me he almost gives like, he kind of feels like he could be similar to Albedo in a few ways, or maybe even many ways. So that's kind of why I'm thinking Mitya might be INTP. Hey, I'd be totally fine with an Albedo 2.0, especially with a higher quality model. Okay. Noi. Ooh-hoo-hoo. I'm really excited for Noi. I think me and everyone, we're all excited for Noi. Noi to me, just based on looks, he's also giving me INTJ vibes. I'm gonna put him in front of Arlecchino. He's the new character, okay? INTJ vibes, kind of similar. I'm not just saying that because he kind of looks like D-Luke. Just a serious redheaded man. Noise model will probably look better than D-Luke's, but I don't know. He's giving intelligent, intuitive, internal processor, but like probably, because INTJs also tend to be kind of idealistic, because I know I mentioned in my introduction that INFJs are kind of idealistic. I think INTJs can tend to be that way too. I don't know. He's given INTJ vibes. Again, this is just vibes. I'm like, I can read into their expressions all I want, but I will probably be wrong about most of these, and that's okay. Odette. Odette, to me, it's hard because a lot of these characters were very serious in the trailer, so I think it's very easy to just go ahead and write them all off as thinkers. Because thinkers maybe tend to be, or like censors. I think censors a lot of times can be a bit more serious as well. But I think I'm gonna say Odette is potentially INFP. She kind of reminds me of Robin from Honkai Star Rail appearance-wise, so I could see where maybe they're gonna go with something like that. I know she's not a singer, like Robin's a singer, and Odette is a ballerina, but I don't know. I'm like, also she's like, if she isn't ballet, you know, she's a bit more artistic in that way. I would lean INFP in this case, but I could be wrong. Pantalone, he is not playable yet, but he's been around long enough that we kind of get a good look at his personality already. I think a lot of people would agree with me in saying that he's an ENTJ. Very much, he's very efficient, very much dedicated to his goal, I would say, of becoming rich. I don't know if he's ever going to become playable anyway, so like, he appeared in the trailer, might as well put him here. ENTJ, he's kind of like evil Ayato. Like, I know people make the joke that Pantalone is dark mode Baiju because they have like similar glasses and kind of similar hairstyles and even like eye shape, but like Pantalone is evil and Baiju is not evil. But I think Pantalone is a businessman, and then like Ayato is kind of a businessman as well. He is the head of the Kamisato household, so he has to be business-minded. And a lot of people consider Ayato to be an ENTJ. I don't necessarily agree with that, but that's okay. But yeah, ENTJ, he's ENTJ to me, so. Pulcinella. I don't know why the image they decided to use for his face was just so zoomed in, but you know who this is. You see this and you're like, that's Pulcinella. Even if he's far away, even if he's a tiny little square, we know who that is. I'm gonna go ahead, we don't know that much about Pulcinella yet either. I'm gonna guess he's ESTJ. That's just the vibe I get, I guess. I'm going to say though, I have a weird feeling that he could potentially be ESFJ. Like, I know that seemed a little strange to say, but I don't know. I have like a weird feeling that he's gonna be a lot more compassionate than he comes across, or that what we might expect him to be. So ESTJ, I don't even know if he's gonna be playable because low-key his appearance doesn't scream playable to me, but I would love to have a little chibi dude character running around. It would be so funny. Okay, so we have Sandrone next. Sandrone just came out as playable like a week ago from when I'm recording this, and people say she's INTP. I'm gonna go ahead and throw her up there with Mitya. Makes sense to me. I definitely thought she was more ENTJ when I first met her, but INTP makes sense to me as well, so we'll put her up there. And then Tartaglia, this is another character who's already playable. We're gonna put him in ESTP. He's ESTP, that's it, that's all we got. Okay, okay, so I don't know how to say this character's name. I'm saying Valeriy, or like Valeriy, but like, I don't know. I don't think it's Valerie. Like, I know Valerie is a name that we have, but it's usually a girl name in like English. So I'm kind of guessing that they wouldn't pronounce it that way. If they do, that's fine. But Valeriy, he was also kind of giving me ISTP vibes, but I kind of want to put him in a feeler category. Like, or yeah, I don't know. I only have one in the NF category. I don't see him as being intuitive necessarily though. The first vibe I got from him was ISTP, so since this is vibe-based, ISTP. In ISTP, jail you go. It's not jail probably, but Vesna is next. Hers is really hard to see, man. I should have zoomed in her image way more. Some of these images, it's like they're nice up and close with their face, and in other ones they like zoomed the camera way out. But this is Vesna, so if you can't tell, I'm sorry, but this is Vesna. I think Vesna, I have two thoughts, and they're very, very similar. I think she's either ESFJ or potentially ENFJ. Both those types have extroverted feeling as their primary function. She from what we can tell, she seems like she's like the leader of an army. So I'm trying to think of like what kind of qualities would someone who leads an army have? Would she be more like perceptive of her sensory surroundings and how those affect her, or would she be more like intuitive rather than sensing? I'm going to say ESFJ. I'm also going to tentatively say I could see her being a thinker, just because we don't know much about her. Because if she is the leader of an army, I feel like that's a pretty serious role, and she might be more inclined to be like logical in that sort of way. If that makes sense, I don't know. But I'm gonna say ESFJ, just low-key to balance things out, but also because, I don't know, I kind of see her being a feeler, but I don't know. Okay, we're on our last two, so, okay. Next is Vodyanitsa. I'm not sure. She seems the hardest to type. Because some of these I'm like, okay, I had thought about it a little bit beforehand. Vodyanitsa, did not think about her beforehand. I kind of want to put her in a feeling category, but I don't know. I'm gonna, okay. Okay, so from what we know, she's an opera singer. She seemed, in that trailer, I feel like everyone was in on like some sort of assassination attempt or something like that. Like, there was some fight going on. She was like aware of it. She seems like she's someone who would be able to relay information. That kind of seemed like what she was doing. Maybe a bit secretive? I'm gonna put her in ISFP, I think. I could see her being like an introverted feeling primary function. I don't know. I feel like ISFP kind of works. I could also see her being an INFP as well, but I kind of don't want to just throw two people in INFP. I know we got like multiple people in some of these categories already, but I'm trying to have like a nice wide spread of characters, you know, we're across the board. So we'll just say ISFP for her. I don't really have any other vibe. I was like, the vibe I was getting from her is either ISFP or potentially INFP or ENFP. But I don't know, I think ISFP works. I feel good about this one. I'm gonna be completely wrong. She's gonna be released and she's like ESTJ or like ENTJ. Imagine that. She's just like Pantalone for real. Okay, last but certainly not least, we have the Tsaritsa or Anastasya. I'm not saying the whole name. Now, we know very little of her still, even though we've gotten to hear about like her plan and such from other characters and like how she behaves. We know she's the Archon of Love, which is very interesting. And a lot of people are like, oh, it's like motherly love because of her son. And I think, I'm not being biased here, guys, but I think she would be an INFJ. That's the vibe I get. I know I said I'm an INFJ, so it's not biased at all. I don't want the Archon to have the same personality as me. But like, I don't know, she seems like, and people might be like, oh, but she's not really a feeler because of her plan, you know, is like very, I don't know. I could see people being like, oh, but she's so cold and she doesn't have feeling. But if you know anything about like how functions work and how like Myers-Briggs typing indicator is supposed to work, I guess, especially when it comes to the functions, you can be a feeler and like rely on logic more so, you know? Like if an INFJ has secondary feeling, you know, it's secondary extroverted feeling, but an INFJ's third function is introverted thinking, which means pretty much they base decision making on their own logic, not like what's most efficient. Maybe it's even like what's most efficient to them and not like generally considered most efficient, or they don't like consult other people when it comes to logic. But I can see where like the Tsaritsa, you know, she's had a rough life of it. It seems like her husband is dead, her child has been frozen. Also, isn't Elsa an INFJ? So this just makes sense. Like maybe where once she was very open about sharing like her feelings and her values, well, as open as you can be. I'm trying to explain this the best I can without being like overly information dumpy. You know, I don't want to dump too much information on people. But then like because of all this hardship that's happened to her, she's in a less healthy state than she was probably at some other point in her life. So now she's relying on like, what can I do to get these people back in my life? Because we're assuming she's using the Gnosis to like either bring her husband back or her kid or both. So she's like, this may not make sense to other people, but it makes sense to me. It's the logical step. I need to bring them back. So, and because she's had such a long-term plan, I think intuition makes sense. I see her being just like an unhealthy INFJ. It's not like she's unemotional, you know? I think she's making decisions mostly based on like her logic, but then considering if she does have secondary feeling, extroverted feeling, she could also be doing what she thinks is best for Snezhnaya on the whole, and maybe even all of Teyvat, like the values of the people in her life. So yeah, I guess that's it. I don't have anything to add. We're out of characters, so I'm going to stop it here because we don't have any more characters. But yeah, I guess I'll just look through and see if I disagree with myself on any of these. I don't think so. We have a lot of NT characters. 5. And then we have like and the second most is 4 with the SPs, I guess you could call them. But yeah, I think these all make sense to me. Again, Vodyanitsa is the one I'm like the least sure of. Even then, it's like, all of these, am I sure about them? No, because we know nothing about these characters. This is all based on vibes. I did give the longest explanation for the Tsaritsa though, because I'm like, that just makes sense. She's the Tsaritsa. She deserves all the consideration I've put into this. Again, if you have a different opinion on what a character's potential MBTI could be, you can let me know in the comments. Again, I just ask that you be respectful. That's it. These are just my opinions. I think it's kind of fun to predict stuff like that, and we'll see how accurate I am when the characters come out. If my predictions of their personalities will match what they really are in the game, or if I'll be completely wrong, because I'm down to be completely wrong. I like when a character surprises me. These are just vibes, but the vibes can be wrong. So with all that said, if you enjoyed this video, consider liking it and subscribing to the channel. It's free and it helps me out a ton, but if you don't want to, no stress, no worries, I understand. So I will see you all in a later video. Bye!